Hey guys, welcome to Oddcast. I'm your host Joe, and today we are going to review, rate, and discuss episode 1, the premiere of Quantum Leap. As you guys know, based on my trailer reaction, I am very much looking forward to this. If you haven't already watched my reaction to it, don't worry. There's going to be a card, I think, somewhere up here, and down in the description I'll put the link so that you can watch it too. So let's talk about the things that I liked, some of the things that I didn't like, and I don't know, there's some stuff, there's a lot to unpack, but not really a whole lot. Okay, so first things that I love, it's a sequel show. That's great. Absolutely, I think that's fantastic. Please, by all means, continue the story of Dr. Sam Beckett. Just don't change the ending. Spoiler alert, if you haven't already watched it, it's an old show now. Dr. Sam Beckett never returns home. That's the end of his hero's journey, guys. He doesn't make it home. And you know what? That is fine. You can by all means have Scott Bakula guest star on the show. We know that there were other leapers based on the first series, so seeing him appear here and there, cool, perfect, absolutely great. The actors all did a fantastic job. I really like Raymond Lee's job as Ben. I think that he is a believable leaper. I really like Caitlin Bassett as Addison, who is his fiance in present day, who is now taking the role of Al, so she's kind of the person who goes back in the holographic chamber. Jen, the security officer, who is played by Narissa Lee, seeing Desire again in something that isn't just the Sandman, but Mason Alexander Park as Ian, and then of course you have Ernie Hudson as Magic. I'm just going to call him Magic. Doesn't matter. I don't care what his real name is. Doesn't matter. He's Magic. That's what they refer to him as in the show. That's what I'm going to call him now. As their kind of Pentagon person. So they mapped out the star-studded cast, which brings me to the thing that I am on the fence with. For those of you who are fans of the original, you know that the relationships in the show were really Al and Sam. Those are really the only two true recurring characters in the show. Yes, you had a couple of characters in the future that interacted with Al, but they didn't interact with Sam. And then, you know, he had a couple of times when he leapt back into the same person, so you would get to see those recurring characters, or you might get to see some characters from a different side because he leapt into the same time period, but in a different person. So there is that kind of recurring thing, but it looks like this one's going to focus on interpersonal drama and intrigue in the future setting, which takes part of the focus away from the actual leap. So I'm on the fence. Like, it could work really, really well, or it could not work. Especially because right now they haven't really done anything to really anchor me to those characters. Like, they haven't made it where, like, oh, I really wonder what Ian's up to as he works with Ziggy, who is, of course, another returning character from the first one. And then the intrigue thing is also like a weird, I don't know, like it seems bizarre. The couple of times that we were in the present day when you were leaping with Sam and Al was Al trying to secure funding or trying to make sure that they didn't shut down the program because they were still trying to bring Sam home. It's also interesting to know that even though Sam corrected the one major thing for Al, which has, you know, now rooted itself in this series, that Al still stuck with joining that program, even though he took a different route to get there, I guess. Unless, of course, whatever Sam was doing didn't actually affect his present or future as described by Mark Ruffalo's Hulk in Endgame. Things that I did not like. So there's small list. The first one was, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the original series, when Sam leapt into one person, that person ended up in the holographic chamber so that they could get information. They didn't have to do like Google searches and background stuff. I guess it's plausible that Ben programmed that out of it so that they no longer had, you know, unaccompanied people from the past coming to the future, because then I think they had to describe it off as like alien abduction type of thing or like some kind of memory wipe. I don't know how they solved that problem in the first one, but this show doesn't face that because it apparently doesn't happen. So Ben took over some dude's body and there's no consequence to that. I did not like that Ben kind of went straight into, let's just break the Prime Directive and tell somebody the future, as much of the future as they can. Also, he had amnesia, so he couldn't remember anything, but he was able to remember the other languages that he spoke. Seemed like a weird choice, but again, I mean, I get it. Story elements have to go. I did not like the choice of a heist, actiony first episode. I get why they did it, because you have to hook and drag the audience into the show, and you want them to be caught up in, I guess, the action of it. So they took away some of like the, I don't know, they took away part of the dramatic element, which I'm hoping that maybe they'll get into, because the show wasn't all like, oh, this week Sam is a spy, or this week Sam is a blah, 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 blah. That's kind of the role that iZombie took, and I love iZombie. That's a story for a different time, but I don't think that it's necessary to have Ben leap into place to make it, actiony. It doesn't have to be actiony. It can have a heavy drama to it, which I think the next episode might have, but since they hinted that it's going to take place with astronauts, maybe it's still going to have that actiony thing. And also, going for the Hope Diamond in your first episode definitely sets the escalation of things. Like, in the first episode of the original series, Sam leads him to a test pilot who's trying to break the sound barrier, which, if that test pilot dies, there would be another person who breaks the sound barrier. But this group trying to steal the Hope Diamond, I was like, all right, well, that's a bit of a stretch. And then it just so happened that Magic knew about a secret government op to hide the fact that the Hope Diamond was stolen. That was a little. I know the show's about time travel and it's completely based, but that was just a little bit too far, even for me. Like, it was a bit of a stretch. There was no theme song. Disappointing, because that theme song totally kicks. I mean, it slaps, guys. I can listen to the original series theme song anytime. It and the A-Team. Boom, they nailed it. Like, that's how you do musical intro theme songs, okay? They nail it. So I really hope, because in the first series, there was no theme song in episode 1, I am really hoping that with episode 2, we'll get a theme song, and please, 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 let it be the original theme song. Like, you can change it, you can update it, you can add some beats to it, that's fine. But please, keep the theme song. It was so good. Now, something that I think all of us can agree on. All of us have watched it. We all know. The green screen in this show, at least in the first episode, it is what I would not describe as good. You can blatantly tell when people are standing in front of it. None worse than when Addison is in the Cerebro room from X-Men. Oh, that holographic thing just looked awful. And I'm not even talking about when the hologram was up. I'm talking about when they took it down. It was just not good. And then the other time was when they were driving in the car. When it was Ryan, I think his name was Ryan, and Sam, and Sam, Ryan and Ben in the car. That green screen is not good. Like, come on, Xfinity. I know you've got money. You can definitely invest a little bit heavier into good special effects to make your science fiction shows look really good. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. But yeah, and then the other thing, of course, being the major part of intrigue, which is its connections to the first one. Although the minute that Magic said, oh, me and some of the guys from Nom had this, I was like, oh, okay. And then I knew exactly where they were going. So this is your chance to get out. If you haven't already watched the first episode, but I'm guessing if you're watching me review it, you've already watched it. And that is that Al's daughter is involved, which means that him and his estranged wife from the original series must have stayed together so that they had a child. Or did they have a child? Is this child actually Sam's child that Al decided to raise? Or she knew that her father was a leaper and then decided to... I mean, there's a lot there, because we do know that in the first series, which this one is now a continuation of, Dr. Sam Beckett's daughter worked on the Quantum Leap project in its continuation. So I'm interested to see how they link those. And now that we know that it's linked to the first one, that also means that they're going to have to bring religion into it. Because the first show definitely indicated that there is definitely a divine hand at play, and that means that there will be an adversarial players in the timeline as well. So I'm interested to see if they're involved, and of course the mystery thickens as to what was going on that Ben needed to leap right then, right there, with the new program installed in Ziggy. Maybe a negative leaper from even further in the future leapt into the girl, and then that did. Nah, I'm just kidding, guys. I don't think that's the case. And just like I theorized in my trailer reaction, he can leap beyond the means of his own lifeline. I'm guessing that's what the increase was, which would make sense because if the goal is to find Sam, which is what they hinted at being the goal, well, kind of being the goal. I think that is the daughter's goal is to find Sam and bring him home, even though he should not return home. Then they would need to go beyond his own lifeline. But that, of course, means that now they can go anywhere in the timeline and play around. And that, I think, is a fantastic idea. It definitely stretches out where we can go with things and how the shows can play it off. That said, what did you think of the premiere of Quantum Leap? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you looking forward to seeing where they go with it? Do you think that maybe they've gone a bridge too far with this one and they should cut their losses while they're ahead? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And while you're down there, hit the little like and subscribe and the little bell for notifications. And I'm probably going to wait a couple episodes and then I'll do another review / update of this show. Thanks so much for joining. Have a great one. This is Joe. This has been Oddcast. See you next time. Da, 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 da. Da 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 dum ba da dum da dum ba da da dum ba da dum.